大家好，本议程将由 Jonas Bötel 带来。Jonas 拥有电脑科学硕士学位，担任水下生存游戏 Subnautica 主程式。而 Subnautica 曾在 Steam 上推出抢先体验版，我想如果有追踪的玩家们，应该就玩过抢先体验版。而在 Steam 上，他花了5年开发完成，迄今的 PC 平台总销售量超过200万套。使用的软体是 Unity。Jonas 除了将要讲解 Subnautica 使用到的相关技术外，还讨论到了做对与做错的事情，面临到的挑战、开发决策以及 Subnautica 如何获得成功。其包含的面向有初期概念对比最终成品、社群导向式的开放式开发，以及抢先体验，还有行销。
I'm ready. Are you ready? Hello everyone, thank you for coming. My name is Jonas. Welcome to my talk about the development of Subnautica. This Chinese title and Chinese name. First of all, what is Subnautica? Subnautica is a first-person, single-player underwater adventure. And you crash land on an alien planet. You dive in and you scavenge resources. You craft and build things to survive. You construct tools like this little sea glide and vehicles, and you pilot the vehicles, and you build habitats, and you make them your own, and you bring your vehicles into your habitats, and you explore an open world full of diverse biomes, caves, threats, bigger threats, mystery, more mystery, spectacle, a lot of spectacle, and you unravel the story by going down all the way to the core to discover the secret of the planet, the end. So that is Subnautica in like 5 minutes. Usually takes like 30 hours to play through it, but now you know. Sorry for spoiling. So like I said, Subnautica is a first-person single-player underwater adventure game, but it's also an open-world exploration sandbox survival game with a story. So it's a little bit difficult to say what genre that falls in. We call it an adventure. So let's talk about Subnautica as a product. So Subnautica was released for PC and Mac on Steam, January 2018. At a price point of $25 US. A simple premium game. Subnautica sold 2 million copies and had over 50K concurrent players on launch day. We got a 93% positive user reviews at about 70K reviews total. Metacritic score of 87%. And we are currently working on bringing Subnautica to consoles and other platforms. So that's all good. Subnautica has been commercially successful, which is nice. But how did we build it? Well, let me take you behind the scenes here. It all started with a plan. We wanted to make something small for a change. Maybe in Unity, perhaps a casual game. Maybe by a small team of like 4 in about 6 months. In reality, we ended up with a big project, still using Unity, targeting beefy hardware made by a team of 25 over the course of 5 years, and that cost us $10 million. How did that happen? Well, let me tell you. So in this talk, I'm going to take you all the way from the rough idea to early access to the launch of the final product. I'm going to show you what we learned in the process, changes we made, and what makes Subnautica stand out. And I'm going to show you how we work as a team, how we interact with our community, how we do marketing. And if there's time in the end, I will show you some tips and tricks if you're using Unity that you can use in your own products. Let's go. So let's start with the idea. Our company, Unworlds Entertainment, is pretty small, and we're indies, no big money, and we cannot compete with AAA, right? So instead of competing, we make games that nobody else makes. So there's a book called Blue Ocean Strategy, which is about finding uncontested market space. So in our case, the year is 2013. Minecraft is hugely successful, and Don't Starve just created the entire genre of survival games. So what if we make a game like Minecraft, but underwater? Like a survival sandbox game, but with diving, right? In space, on an alien planet, and no guns. Because in the US there was a horrible school shooting not too long before, and we really felt like we shouldn't make yet another game about shooting things, so we tried something else. And you know, there are thousands of indie games out there, and our goal is to stand out in the sea of games. Our goal for the product is to be spiky. What we mean by that, I will explain later, but like, spikes will alienate some players, but other players will love it, right? And we believe that if you're making a game for everyone, that's just not gonna work. That is death. So we'd rather make games for a certain audience. So let's talk about spikes. What are our spikes? What do we have to offer? Well, we think with this idea, we had this underwater theme, sci-fi, because we like sci-fi, and you design and build custom submarines, kind of Minecraft-y style, right? And you explore a procedural world, and there's lots to discover, and no guns. So, seems good. It's time for prototypes. We started with this one. This is our first prototype. We, like after four weeks or something, tinkering with Unity, we had vessel building. You can see in the middle there's what we call a submarine. It has modular rooms and modular controls. And there's some terrain and some scattered loot. And we tested that, and so it had this modular control scheme where you walk around and you go up to these levers and you manage where the sub is driving and going up and down and that kind of stuff. And we wanted to have co-op gameplay, but it really just felt tedious. And the good part was the emotions of the game were working, right? It really felt like underwater and tension and interesting, but the gameplay was just not working at all. So we had to do something, second prototype. We centralized the controls a little bit more, and we made the ship construction more granular, so you can like take away walls inside the ship and add your little modules everywhere. And that allowed us to have the exterior of the ship look more like an actual submarine and not this boxy thing before. And we didn't have glass floors everywhere necessarily. So that was a step in the right direction. And then we discovered that like exploration, underwater exploration is way more exciting than tinkering with a ship, than building, right? So in the third prototype, we added something. We added flooding. So if you ran your submarine into something and it starts to have leaks and water comes in, and that freaked people the hell out. And that is good, right? We realized, okay, we can have tension without violence. There's still no guns, but the game is still really tense. And fear and tension are compelling things that make people like your game. So that was good. And then in the fourth prototype, we had a proper inventory system. You can see some slots down there, so you can actually craft stuff like Minecraft-y. And then in the fifth prototype, we actually added voxel terrain, so we can no longer, it's not a height map, but we can have caves. And those were really claustrophobic and just added to all the tension and the thrill of being underwater and thrill of diving. And also in the fifth prototype, we took away the sub. You know, in the first one you started with a sub. In the fifth one, you start with that. That's just a static box basically with a little like constructor thing in the middle. and you walk up to the constructor and it tells you, hey, you can build your first sub here, and you need to pick up some resources for that, right? And players just understand the inherent value of having a sub, so they already know what they want to do. We don't have to put quests or anything in there. It's the intrinsic reward of being able to explore more that creates real player motivation here and drives the players, and that's a strong feeling as well. So that's all good. We learned the good things are we have these intrinsic rewards through tech progression, basically, that make it easier for you to survive and explore. We have gating through oxygen management. At first you cannot really dive very deep, but later you can explore more and more. We have tension through flooding mechanics, and, well, the modular submarines we had at the beginning, just forget about them. So in summary, what was great about the prototypes were that they got the feelings right? They got the sense of exploration, discovery, wonder, fear, tension. Those were all there, even though the graphics looked terrible. So the feelings, that's important here. If you make prototypes, aim for feelings. And because surviving and progression are like intrinsically good things that people want, that players want. Players already have a real motivation of playing the game and getting better at it. By the way, the slides will be online after the talk. You don't have to like take pictures or write everything down. There will be a link, I suppose. So, forget about procedural submarines. We just have our experiential core game about exploration and discovery. We're not making a roguelike anymore. We're not making a casual game anymore. We're kind of finding our genre here, right? In the meantime, our art director was really busy concepting concept art. And it looks gorgeous, right? So there's this little life pod, and there's your big ship, or you crash land, and there's some coral reefs, and there's lush biomes, and filled with wonder and peril, and beautiful submarines too. And that's all really great, but our prototypes look nothing like that. So we had to do something about that, because what's it going to be, right? It's going to be gameplay or graphics. So we wanted to make a proof of concept. We wanted to answer the question: can we achieve that look? So we set our goal. Our goal was to match the concept art as fast as possible. Forget about procedural terrain. Forget about co-op. Forget about crafting. Just get the look right. Our target is PAX East 2014. That was April 2014, and we realized we're gonna need a whole lot of new art assets and level design to make that happen. So we had to add artists to the team. And this is PAX East 2014. So we made it. This is our Subnautica booth. People playing it. People said our game has beautiful graphics. This is in-game screenshot 2014. It has an intriguing concept. People had really visceral reactions to swimming with sharks and being underwater. And we even had the Cyclops submarine in there. Players could drive it, but it was kind of lame. There was not really much to do with it. But we learned a lot of things from that, right? We learned that we can match the beautiful concept art, and that the game has potential. That was every single person who played the game told us that. We learned that the tiny little handmade world that we made for the demo was far more interesting than anything procedural we had generated before. We also learned that thalassophobia, the fear of the vast emptiness of the sea, and bathyphobia, the fear of depth, are really strong core human emotions that transfer into the game world. And if you have something like that, if you discover something like that in your game, just exploit the hell out of it. It's great. So, and we also learned that we have a serious performance problem. Like, the prototype was not running fast, and it hitching. It was made in Unity, and we had garbage collection problems, and we had a serious performance problem. So forget about procedural world. We're not doing that anymore. Right? That's just not that. We're never going to match the quality of the concept art with procedural world. We're going to just hand make the entire world, but add the fact that people really feel the ocean. Right? That is a core thing that we're going to exploit here in our game. So we were relatively confident now that we have a product where we can make it look beautiful, and we had a gameplay before in the prototypes that was working. So now we need to combine the two, because like I said, in the demo for PAX there was really nothing to do. You could just swim around. There was no crafting. So here's a new plan. We're going to target the PC, because like iPad is just off the charts. Even on PC we had a performance problem. Our goal is to sell 1 million copies. That's about like what we think indies can achieve on Steam. And we have to super focus, right? So we focus on single player. We bring back crafting. We add a lot more world to explore than just this tiny little patch. So we will require better voxel editing tools. And we're going to have to add a lot of level designers and programmers to make all that happen. So that was May 2014, 1 year after we started building the prototypes. Now, half a year later, October 2014, we had about like 4 biomes kind of built, and some creatures, some crafting. We didn't have submarines anymore because we were redoing the Cyclops. Like I said, it was lame. And so we basically, in October 2014, we had a combination of the gameplay prototypes and the visual proof of concept. And we felt ready for player feedback. So we started selling the game on our website. Not on Steam, but on our website. And we were calling it Earliest Access. We also added a lot of telemetry to the game, and like a feedback system where you can send feedback from inside the game to us, to understand what people are doing and whether they are experiencing the game like we want them to experience the game. This is a world map, and you can see the yellow parts are what we had already built. It's a fraction, maybe 10% or something of the world. And this is what it looked like. The game was centered around the life pod and the safe shallows area, where it's nice, and the crafting revolved around the early exploration. And we noticed one thing from our telemetry, that we have this big ship on the horizon there, and it's the only thing on the horizon. That's the only landmark you see when you're like swimming above the surface and sticking your head out. And players always wanted to go there. There's nothing there. There was a billboard, right? But people, they got into the game, they climbed out of their escape pod, they saw that thing, and they went there, straight there. This is 1 kilometer away. They just go there instead of diving in and exploring the world underneath them, which is beautiful and colorful, right? They forget about everything and go there. That's not good. That's not the game we want to make. The guy, right? So we had to do something about that. So we learned. The Aurora is the only landmark in the game, and players want to intuitively go there, seek shelter or scavenge resources. I don't really know what they want to do there. It's on fire and everything. So we added radiation. There's a circle of radiation around it, and as you get closer, a Geiger counter starts to tick and shoos you away. And that helped a little bit. And we also learned that players really try to stay in the safe, shallow waters and avoid any kind of danger. They were just staying away from any dangerous creatures. They were staying away from the caves as much as possible. So we just put the good loot in those areas, and because we want them to be there, right? We want the tension of swimming with sharks. And around that time, we were also like reconsidering what kind of game we're really building here. We realized we're not really making a sandbox game anymore. We're not really making a building game anymore. We're not really making a survival game anymore. So it's not really Minecraft or Don't Starve. We're feeling that we're more like, we're building a game where you feel like a scientist who has crash landed on an aquatic alien world and is learning how it works. And it's a game about exploration and discovery and theme. And it's a game without a specific goal, a game without extrinsic rewards, a game without combat and weapons. So, for the lack of a better term, we just call it an adventure game. Now, 2 months later, December 2014, we ran out of money. Because, like I said, right, we wanted to have 4 people in 6 months, and now we were like 20 people and already 1.5 years in. So that was not good. And we basically couldn't find any money anywhere, investors or publishers or anything. So the only choice we had left was to put the game on early access and hope that anyone would buy it, because we were literally in front of bankruptcy. So we put it on early access, right? And it still kind of looked the same as 2 months before. It had a little bit more everything, and like I said, we put the loot in the places where it's dangerous, and so there was a lot of like tension and excitement in the game, which was really great for people to talk about. And there was one other thing as well. We put this giant whale-like creature in the game, which is called a reefback. It's like 50 meters long or something, and they don't do anything. They just swim there, right? And they make noises, and people were completely freaked out by them, terrified by them. It's just this big thing that's swimming there, and people reacted every single time to them. So we realized something, right? We learned that giant creatures are terrifying no matter whether they actually do anything or not. And people keep telling us we're making a horror game here, because the music was like really creepy, and the animals were making these weird noises, and there are no weapons, right? So you feel defenseless. But our sales were really underwhelming. We didn't have like an early access splash start where thousands of people buy our game or something. We were barely making enough money to survive as a company. So we needed to move the needle fast. And of course the question is like, what is it, right? If you have this game in this stage right now and you need to move the needle, what is it? Is it like to put more loot in the game, put more biomes, put more dangerous creatures, more crafting, multiplayer? Fix all the bugs, or something new? So we were really looking at our spikes again, because the spikes are what makes the game stand out. So giant creatures is a new spike now. So we were focusing on what makes the game stand out, and what that is underwater, accidental horror, and theme. Right? We only implement clear features. We cut everything else. All the dreams we had, just cut everything. Features have to be concrete, emotional, and straightforward. What is concrete, emotional, and straightforward? Well, so we had concept art for the Cyclops, which we had before in the game, right? So we knew that a game that called Subnautica should probably have a submarine in there, otherwise it's not so great. And we added this friendly little Reaper Leviathan, which is actually aggressive and kills you, right? And we were shipping updates monthly, and we also added like more crafting and more everything on the side. But it's basically these two things, and we were seeing that we are gaining traction in the market, right? So we added submarines to our spikes. And what do I mean when I say traction? Well, basically the years 2014, 15, streamers. Streamers were the new big thing. First, one of the first ones to jump onto our game was Eat My Diction. He had like 500,000 subscribers, December 2014. And we were seeing like a little bit increase in sales, right? And then a few months later, we had Frankie on PC starting a series on Subnautica Let's Play. That was in March. And he had 2 million subscribers, and we saw that in our sales, right? And then 1 month later, we have Jacksepticeye starting a series in April 2015, and he had 4 million subscribers and growing fast, growing really, really fast. So, like by the end of the year, we had Markiplier play the game, and he had 10 million subscribers. We were good, like we had sales. We had infinite budget. We completely turned around from having to shut down the company to we can develop this game forever as long as we keep shipping updates and adding features and people keep coming in. That sounds exciting. On the other hand, forever is a really long time, and what do you do? And what do you do first? So we had to make a roadmap. We were happy, but we still had to focus and make a roadmap. So this is our roadmap. Again, the idea is to only implement clear features, cut everything else. Features have to be concrete, emotional, and straightforward, right? What was concrete, emotional, and straightforward? Well, we had tons of concept art, and the concept art looked really good. So we just followed the concept art, and there was base building in the concept art. And with bases came like the ability to do farming, and farming was gelled super well with exploration and discovery, and then you bring it home and then you grow it, right? And with base building came the moon pool, which is like this docking thing for your little submarine, which again gels super well with other systems, and the map room, which is like a scanner where you can scan for loot that is hard to find. So those are all things that like facilitate exploration and discovery. And the other thing we realized is like, you remember that people wanted to go to the Aurora all the time, the big crash ship, and we put in the radiation. Well, now people told us we hate the radiation. We want to clean the planet. We don't want the planet to get destroyed by us crash landing there, right? So people still wanted to go there and fix the radiation. So we actually made that happen. We built an entire interior for this massive Aurora, and we put a radiation suit in there so that you can go there and then you can repair it and you get tons of loot there. And people loved it. Like, we would not have done that without early access, right? This came out of listening to the players in early access. And also, of course, we added more creatures, more crafting, more biomes, and funny enough, we also added islands. I don't know why, but I mean, it's an underwater diving game. Why would we add islands? But, well, we did, and then we found out, well, now we have 2 landmarks on the horizon, right? The Aurora and then the islands. So people just start the game, they see islands, and they just go for the islands. Forget about everything else, go to the islands. So we added clouds to hide the islands away, and then it was good again. But yeah, sometimes it's funny. Things that we cut. No, well, we cut a lot of things. We cut all our dreams on making creatures like interesting and building ecosystems and food chains and having like emergent gameplay there. And we cut all our dreams about like building habitats for the planet for colonization or something. We cut our dreams for multiplayer. We didn't do all the cosmetics and like female player model and animations, and even new creatures we put on the back burner for a while to get the big ones, the big features in, right? Like the base building and what we actually knew that people wanted because they told us what they wanted. And so we built a whole game around what I just told you, and we had this big tech progression tree, and it's way too small for you to see, but on the left side there are all the biomes that we had sorted by depth, and then in the middle there's all the stuff you can craft, and then of course the loot you get in the biomes, you need that for the stuff you craft, and then the stuff you craft allows you to go deeper again and then get more loot, and so you progress and you learn a lot of things about the world and you explore. And it's all really good, and that was like 1 more year or something of development and early access and people making videos about it. And we learned a few things here. So we learned that we should really focus on exploration and discovery. That is what the game is strong at. And we learned that we should gently guide the player through soft gating, through oxygen and depth limits, and we should have like a limited crafting tree and a really cut down version. Shouldn't have too many explicit rewards. So we found out that in our game, getting lost and being frustrated is actually a good thing, because it means that you feel like you're really exploring and discovering things yourself and not just following breadcrumbs, right? We added lots of tools for like marking where you were, beacons that you can put down to go there later, and we never gave you a map or like anything pre-built. We didn't put any explicit rewards in there, only intrinsic rewards where you're just looking at the craft tree and you're like, oh yeah, that sounds good. That will enable me to do more, right? And whenever we had a gate, we tried to make it just a depth limit and not like you have to have the blue key to open the blue door and then you have to have the red key to open the red door. That's a little bit boring. So we really focused on building this sandboxy, non-linear experience, but still has a kind of linear progression through it, and that really all worked well. So that's all good, and that's what we focus about. And we also learned that when you make a crafting game, the question is like, where do you put the loot? Which recipes come first? Do you design all your recipes first and then you put the loot in the game where it makes sense, or do you build the game? Do you build the world first and then there's loot in there and then you build the crafting around that? Or do you go in cycles, or what is it, right? And we were going in cycles so much, so we decided, okay, forget about that. We're just gonna build the world first. The world is there. The world exists by itself. It's not built for the game. It's just we build a world and then we make the game fit into the world, which is counterintuitive. That's usually not what you do. But in our case, that worked really well. And the loot makes sense in the world where it is, and then the crafting comes out of it. Right? And we focus on exploration, discovery, mystery, spectacle. The Aurora explodes at some point in time, and people really love that. And then we have the accidental horror. So that's the game basically that we were making in early access, and then we were kind of hitting a wall, because we were building this survival sandbox exploration adventure, and it starts really small on the top in your life pod, and then you explore more and more, right? And your reach extends, and you go deeper, and you have more territory to explore, and it's all great. But why? Why do you do that? Where is this going? Is this going anywhere? Or is that the game? Is that all? So we came back to one of the really early sketches we had. We had one of our artists made an epic chart 2 years ago or something, and that epic chart is a little bit too small, but it basically starts out in the top, and then you explore more and you build some submarines, and then you build bigger submarines, and you go deeper and deeper and you explore and discover, and then you go into these caves, and then there's big monsters in the cave, and at the bottom is aliens. And the aliens was more like a joke from like the abyss, but we realized that is actually the game that we should make, and we just made like the first half of it. So let's make the second half of it, right? We realized that our game should not look like a pyramid, like a triangle. Our game should look like a diamond, right? We want to start the game small, branch out, totally non-linear, and then pull it all together to one finale that where the story collapses to a single event and you beat the game. So our missing piece was a story. And so we hired a writer, and he came up with lots of crazy ideas, and out of those came a million tasks for us. We added like Degassi ruins that like people who came before and explored some stuff, and you find their locks and and remains, and we added this alien race that are the precursors, and they build like massive kind of structures there. And then we added a ship that comes in to rescue you, and then that ship explodes in front of your face, and it's spectacle. And we added a big sea emperor and the bottom of the sea. That is where like the story collapses, and at the end there's a rocket, and you craft that rocket and blast off. So now everything made sense, right? Now everything had a purpose, everything came together. So our missing spike was story, the book down there. That's the final thing that totally shifted the focus of the game. To support the story, we had this massive story goal system where we have like triggers everywhere in the world, and they trigger little bits and pieces of dialogue, and you find stuff. It's not important to understand that, but like the important point is it was a non-linear story that you like piecemeal together, and you have to kind of build your own conclusions in your head and to discover the story. So you're not only discovering the world, you're also discovering the story. And that worked really well. So, like I said before, these are all the good things, and then I added at the bottom, story discovery. We're not doing cutscenes, we're not doing quests, we're not doing missions. Everything is totally free-form exploration and discovery. Those are our strength. That's the game. We've finally found it. And the things we definitely cut at that point were multiplayer. There was just no... The game was just not made for multiplayer anymore, and the story was a single-player story. And so we just had to cut that. And we used to have terraforming in the game, but terraforming broke everything because you could just dig your way through all the way to the end instead of like having to go through our nice cave. So we had to throw that out as well. We used to have a transfuser in the game where you go up to creatures and you like extract DNA and you analyze the DNA, and then you craft serums and you inject that DNA into yourself, and then crazy stuff starts to happen. That was way too complicated, and people did not understand that. We replaced that with a simple scanner tool. You go up to something, you scan it like a Star Trek tricorder or something, and then it gives you information, or it gives you a blueprint, gives you a recipe for crafting. That worked way better. We cut everything we previously wanted about emergent situations and creatures and ecosystems. That we just couldn't make that fun or matter, and we cut like smaller things like weather, because it's an underwater game, so why would there be weather? It just doesn't. Weather is just above the water, it doesn't matter. So we did that for 3 years, right? We were in early access for 3 long years. YouTubers were making videos about us. At the end of it, we wanted to have a final spectacle before we launch the game officially. So we held back the rocket that I told you about. We gated that off. You couldn't build it. And we had a big like live launch event that we were streaming, and we were inviting YouTubers to join us as MCs, and we launched the game January 2018, and we went for a week of vacation as a team, and that was all good. Now let me tell you a little bit about the production, how we actually built this thing, because when I said like we went on vacation as a team, we don't have an office. Our team is all the way around the world. We all work remotely, right? We have 25 people, and scattered across 4 continents and like 10 time zones or something. We don't see each other. So it's really nice to go on a retreat and actually spend time with each other and talk in person. This is our team. Now the important bit here is not who's doing what. The important bit is there's not a single manager on here. There's not a single producer on there. There's no product manager, no project manager, no schedule person, nothing. Just people making the game. So how does that even work? Well, it kind of does not. Like I said before, we did run out of money, and we did kind of go bankrupt. And then we were really lucky that early access saved us. But on the other hand, it means that we all have shared responsibility for what we want to ship, when we want to ship it, how we want to build it. So we're all kind of a little bit the producer, the product manager, and we have a lot of like shared responsibility as a team. For us, it's the right thing. It might not work for everyone. I'm just going to put it out here because it's very different than what I usually see. We use HipChat for communication. Similar to Slack or Discord or whatever you use. And then we use Team Chat for voice communication for our meetings. We don't really do a video. We just use that. And we have Plastic for version control. And the really nice part about Plastic is that it has a good user interface, and you make these feature branches and you merge them back in, and like even artists understand that. So we found that highly useful. We use Jenkins for our build server. It was integrated with HipChat. You can just send a HipChat message to our bot, and it would trigger a build, and that build would automatically upload to Steam or to like an experimental branch. So you can, within 1 hour, you can have the current build on Steam. And we had a daily build system that did that automatically. And we also use Jenkins for automated tests. This is crucial. Like if you build a big thing, please have automated tests, because otherwise, I mean, stuff breaks. Stuff breaks all the time. Catch as much as you can with automated tests. And we were doing something which we call open development, or maybe even naked development. Let me tell you what that is. So of course we have a blog. Everyone has a blog. Of course we have like a Twitter account, and of course we have a newsletter where you sign up for emails, and we tell you, okay, we just released a big update, right? And of course we do these headliner update websites. I'm not sure if you have followed like Valve, what they have been doing with Team Fortress 2. Every time they release a big meaty update, they have updated websites where they feature that. So that's exciting for people to look at. But the thing that we do different than maybe other companies is we have this Trello board where we have all our to-dos, and this is public. Everyone can see everything, right? Of course, people cannot add tasks or move tasks, but you can really see what we are doing on a day-to-day basis. This is totally public, and we talk about that. And our roadmap is also a Trello board and is also public. So you can see our day-to-day stuff and our long-term thinking. And we have a Twitter account that tweets every single check-in into the repository, right? It's public. You can see every single check-in. We have an experimental branch on Steam. That one is public. So if you bought early access, you can just play the daily builds, no matter how broken they are. They go out there, right? And that means that if a programmer breaks something, they will fix it within a day or two, because people are getting really mad at them, right? So this was great. People were playing these experimental branches, and YouTubers were playing them day to day and discovering new stuff. And it does not matter how broken it is, as long as you can still have fun, right? It's an experience, it's a show. And it kept the project running all the time. Every single day we had a running version of the game, or at least more or less running version of the game. Crucial to all of this, 3 years of early access and being open and putting everything out there and missing deadlines and slipping. Crucial to that, and cutting features. Like, people were really wanting multiplayer and stuff. And crucial is community management. You want to talk to your community. You want to have a community, and you want to talk to them. You do the usual stuff, right? You have forums. You have the Steam forums. You read your Reddit for your game, and we have a Discord chat where people can just join us and chat with us. Like, the top 3 people are That's the art director on the top, right there. You can just chat with him, right? And people really appreciate that. And we have this Twitter account, like most of our developers have a Twitter account, and you can just tweet my boss that you hate his game, and maybe he will do something about it. So being totally open and being out there and listening is one of the really good things. And the other thing that we built in was this feedback system, right? You can press a button in the game, it takes a screenshot, opens a little window, you can send us a message and tell us whether you're happy or unhappy. And it goes directly into a public website where everyone can see it, but it also goes directly into our HIP chat. So we see those, right? And they come in every couple seconds, another one comes in, and there's a screenshot right there, and there's a reply button there. So we can click that, we can reply, and then it appears in people's games, right? And the person who wrote that, here's a bug here, we can reply to them, oh yeah, that bug is fixed in the next version. Please don't be mad. People appreciate that. Last part. Marketing. Our marketing budget was zero. Zero. We did not spend a single dollar on marketing because these guys, right? The YouTubers did all the hard work for us. Our community, our word of mouth, and the YouTubers and the Twitch streamers, and then being featured on Steam, having like this big capsule image on Steam every now and then when we release a big meaty update. And then people talking about us on Facebook and social media and word of mouth. And eventually press catches on and writes a little article about us. That's nice, but like we didn't have to do anything. We were good. So, in summary, what you want to do, what I think what you want to do when you build games is build prototypes, build a lot of prototypes, really get your prototypes, like do programmer art, it's fine, but get your prototypes working to the point where people have the right feelings, right? And when they have the right feelings, understand why they have these feelings, define your spikes, define what makes your game stand out. And then you build a proof of concept, and as soon as you have that, get feedback. Get real player feedback from new people every single day if you can, and iterate. The thing that I didn't believe in, but I do believe in now, is execution matters. Like if you make a game which is not maybe not like the most innovative one, but you make it like really good, you make it really polished, that will sell as well. Listen to your game, listen to your players. And sometimes there will be so much noise because of something is broken or people just having a rage or something. And in those kind of situations, you have to listen to your instincts and just sometimes you know what's right. In the beginning, we didn't have a submarine. We knew we had to put the submarine in there. So in those cases, listen to your instincts as well. And this is the graph from earlier. Again, over 3 years, we gained these 2 million people. We believe that Subnautica became a successful product because we gained traction over a long period of time. We believe that it became successful because we were totally open and we were building our community around our game. What you want to stick into your head is that early access is a show, and you have to run a show. You have to make it interesting for people to stick around if you want to have this kind of growth over a long period of time. And you will face backlash. There will be a lot of people angry at you, so you need to have this community to support you and talk to those people, because you cannot talk to those people, right? You are biased, so have someone else talk to them for you. And then finally, just ship as often as you can, as often as you can. So, what will you make? What are your spikes? That's my talk. Thank you very much. Do we have time?
Yeah, we have about 10 minutes.
10 more minutes. Okay. So I have two things that I can offer you. Either we do 10 minutes QA, or I can talk a little bit about Unity and like how we dealt with. Who is working with Unity here? Hands up. Unity? Okay, about 50%, I would say. So I'm making this really quick because I want to have a little bit of time for QA. But if you're making games with Unity, first of all, this is just really basic. Please use version control. Please use a build server. Please use automated tests, right? And when I say automated tests, I mean test your code, test your assets, test your import settings. Get those things right, because they will save you a lot of time in the long run, right? And if you're using Unity, Unity has like Unity teams or something, so you get cloud storage and cloud build and all that infrastructure out of the box, and it costs next to nothing. So just use that. And when I say like automated tests, so when it comes to code, we kind of all know that, right? Unit tests, integration tests, Unity has a test runner in there. That's all good. But you can go a step further. You can do static analysis on your code using gendarm. That's like a C# like code analyzer. You can enforce a lot of rules with that automatically. And of course, you want to keep your code modular. You want to separate your code from your data. You want to use scriptable objects to store your data. That's relatively straightforward stuff. But please, does this look familiar to you? There's a broken material, right? So what if I told you you can check for broken references programmatically? You don't have to find that in QA. You can just run a script. And then that script is basically this. You can find an object, and if it's equal to null, then it's true null. But you will find the slide in the slides online. You can go through all your prefabs and run this check automatically and print a list of everything that broke because some artist just moved something or deleted something or someone renamed a meta file or whatever, right? And you can even go a step further. So we have this assert not null attribute which we put on fields in our script. And it means that we have a check in there that just runs through all the prefabs and checks that these fields are actually assigned, right? They must not be null, otherwise that's an error. You don't have to check that in awake or in start or something. Just check that statically. Just get that off your mind. It looks like this, right? These are the fields that are marked assert not null, and that's the code to using reflection go through all the scripts in a game object and then check whether that assert not null field is actually assigned. You can use assertions for lots of things, not just for not null, but you can for collections. You can assert that they are not empty, that there are no duplicates in there. For strings, you can assert that there is a localization for that string in your language dictionary, right? And for some scripts, they are more complicated to check whether they are whether all their constraints are met. So you can just implement some kind of interface, and then you, via reflection, you find out whether it implements that interface, and you run a check. Those kind of things will save you a lot of time. And you can check for structure in prefabs. You can check LODs, whether all renderers in a prefab are referenced, whether no renderer is referenced twice from LODs, and does the LOD setup match the hierarchy in the game object, right? Are all the renderers there? Are all the mesh filters there? And does the vertex count actually reduce over the LODs, and does it reduce by factor 2 or whatever your factor is? You can check all these things programmatically. You can check for negative collider sizes and negative transform scales. Check for extra bones that were not meant to be imported into Unity, and you can optimize your colliders, and you can do all that stuff in script. So that's just really practical stuff that I want to send you home with. Check for your broken references, your assertions. Check for all the consistency. Every time something breaks, halt for a moment and think, can I write a test that catches that next time so that I never have to worry about that again? That's it. Now we have time for questions.
Thank you. 现在是那个 Q&A 时间，就是大家有问题要问的，请举手。Just if any, okay.
Just a quick question. First of all, great talk. It's I do agree, especially with the thing that early access is a show, and I think that's the best way to summarize how to go on early access. My question is about YouTubers and streamers. Did these big streamer things happen accidentally, or is this something that you actually tried to build on?
No, we didn't do anything. It was just the right time and the right product, I think. Like, that was 2014, and like streaming and Let's Plays just became a real thing, like really popular, and they were looking for fresh content to jump on, and because we had all these exciting feelings in our game, and fear and horror, that is something that's like. Streamers want to make their stream exciting, right? To watch. They want a game that is exciting for their viewers to watch them play, and streamers like to be a little bit over the top with their emotions, right? So that's Five Nights at Freddy's and those kind of horror games always go well on streams because they are. You can see your favorite person scream, right? And so in our case, you can see your favorite person scream, and it's totally nothing. It's just a big wail, but it's still exciting to watch. I think that was sheer luck. We did not plan any of that. It just happened to really gel well.
Okay. 还有谁有问题吗 ？Any question? Oh, do you have any other things like want to talk?
Other things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't think we have time for that. I could. Yeah. I could. If it's interesting, who's a programmer here? Programmers? Lots of programmers. Oh wow. Okay. Well, maybe I do have something interesting. Let me check more. Oh, right. I do have 2 more slides. If you're using Unity, if you're using Unreal, learn your engine. Like really learn your engine. Unity is great at making custom editors tools, right? Unity has these scriptable objects for data. Unity has asset post-processors to run automated things. Unity has the streaming assets folder where you can put some stuff that does not pack well in asset bundles. And like when we started building these prototypes, we had no experience in Unity at all, and we're just like finding our way through. And that was 5 years ago. That was a very different Unity than it's now. So if we had known Unity as well as we do now, we would have made a few different decisions back then. So really learn Unity, learn physically based rendering and the animation framework and the timeline feature, Unity Audio and Unity UI, because otherwise you will end up building your own solutions, and like that's such a waste of time. Unity is moving so fast, right? Avoid building custom solutions, avoid third-party libraries if you can. Right? You don't have to use CSV files, you don't have to use JSON files, you don't have to use fmod necessarily. There are some benefits to that, but that's all built into Unity. You don't have to use crazy marmoset shaders like we did, and then we had to pay for that down the line because they just some stuff is just not very performance friendly, right? So you're programmers. Code is not a feature. Code is liability. You have to maintain that damn code, right? Features are features. No, code is how you make those features. You You own all the bugs, whether they are your bugs or not. You own all the bugs in your program. You own all the bugs in your third-party libraries. You own all the bugs in Unity, in Steam, and all the bugs in people's computers, their drivers, their faulty hardware. They will not be mad at themselves or anything, like they will be mad at you, right? If you have to do something about that, and you'll have to solve all these issues. And there were some random notes that I had, but they are not important. I think we should call it a day.
Do you have any contact?
Contact?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, sure. Contact. Contact is super easy. I had a slide for that. Where is it? Yeah, Twitter. Find my Twitter. You can go from there to the Unknown Worlds website, and everything is there. Just start with Twitter. And of course, feel free to send me a message, right? Whether you liked my talk or hated my talk, I'm always happy to get real feedback. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonas, for bringing such beautiful games, and thanks for coding these beautiful games. 那我们再以最热烈的掌声欢迎，谢谢 Jonas。